ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness, I'm just looking at my Facebook feed here, and my cousin has her tree up already.
Oh, that's just wrong.
And she lives in Australia. I mean, I would think that Christmas
It's
was
middle
a big
of
deal there.
summer.
They're typically not as, as excited or
Gun jumping, as we are.
yes, as Americans. This is not a good sign.
Here. We like our Christmas stuff.
Yes. Sure.
The official Christmas switch has been flipped now that Thanksgiving is successfully passed.
But did anybody notice that on the Thanksgiving pictures that they were seeing on their social media that a lot of people had their Christmas trees up for Thanksgiving? Like when was that a thing? Has that always been a thing here?
I know. I don't think it's a thing or it shouldn't be, but I've seen just driving around in the last couple days, I have seen many lights and I mean even before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if you're going to go to all that trouble, you might as well extend the season, but I extend it the other way and just keep it up through Valentine's Day. As I think I've discussed here before. I know one year my dad left the Christmas lights up till June because it had been such a pain getting them up. My mother finally, I think, forced him to. It's like, I'm just going to leave them up all year and we'll just keep them off in between.
Right. If they're not lit up, who cares?
Well, now I'm feeling extra pressure to get that tree up quickly.
No. Resist. Be the resistance.
We're with you.
Yes.
We're with you,
Yes.
Nicole.
Procrastinate like the rest of us and put them up on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
All right. Well, how about I say hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now, like premature Christmasing. I am Catherine Haleko, and I have nothing in the way of Christmas decorations. With me today are Nicole Eridix.
Hello. And I honestly don't mean to diss my Aussie cousins. I think it's fabulous they got their tree up. I'm just
Nice backpedaling, Nicole.
have to clarify that.
And
Sure.
Terri Morrow is with us, of course.
Yes, I am. And why would I be any more prompt to putting up Christmas decorations than I am with anything else in my life?
So today on the podcast, we're going to discuss parental teasing. We'll talk about winter gear on our Friday speed round. That kind of goes with Christmas decorations. We are going to shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, hear an interview with occupational therapist Meghan Corridan, and we'll do some shameless self-promotion. But first, what is new with you guys?
Well, I have to follow up on our, we did a speed round on Monday about whether we need a new computer and want to buy one on Cyber Monday. And I did, in fact, buy a new computer this weekend.
Oh.
I'm anxiously awaiting it. So it's possible that in the future you will hear me waxing happy about my new computer or cursing the fact that I ever spent the money. But I'm excited. It's not going to be here till next week.
We'll probably hear a difference in the podcast.
I'm sure you will.
Right?
I'm sure you'll. Absolutely. I told the chat guy on the Apple website all the things I use it for and tell me what I need. And he gave me a couple of ideas and I picked one.
Good.
So that was very, very helpful.
Very
If you're not
good.
sure which of the many beautiful products you want, talk to somebody on chat. They will either give you excellent advice or they will tell you to buy the thing they get the highest commission for. I'm not sure which. But he was very nice. So I'm not getting one of the shiny, skinny, lightweight new MacBook Pros. I'm getting an old one beefed up with extra RAM. So hopefully I will not be staring at a beach ball quite as often as I have been lately. And perhaps I will actually have a battery that lasts more than an hour. In one case and 5 minutes in the other.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yay!
I can relate.
You guys purchased anything?
No, I really should have taken advantage of all the Black Friday and other holiday deals to get a new computer because I need one. But I just couldn't face it. So didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, we went later in the evening and bought a sofa and 2 love seats.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. We
By
needed it.
By we, did this mean you brought your husband with you?
Yes.
Despite previously saying you would no longer do that?
Exactly.
Did he
came
pick up any
along.
waffle irons along the way?
No waffle irons. Thank goodness. We were on a mission. We knew exactly where we were going and what we wanted.
Excellent.
Well, sort of what we wanted. And then I just parked him in the corner in a recliner, in an open recliner, because a lot of them were preoccupied by husbands.
Other bored husbands.
That was the husband's seating area.
Yes, it was the seating area, and I would report back to him with text messages, and when I needed him to come and confirm something that he liked it as well as I did, then I would just text him and he would come on over.
With his credit.
So it was the easiest Black Friday shopping ever.
Nice. Did you get a fabulous deal?
We got, it's okay. I mean, we got 21% off.
21%. Well, that's the
21.
thing that makes you actually do it, right? Yeah, if it's just 20%, I think I'd have to walk away, but 21%.
Yeah, 21. That just tips you over the edge.
It does,
you know?
it does.
You're just like, wow, this is
Did
really
you haggle for the 21, or that's what they were offering?
That's what they were offering.
Wow.
I tried to haggle for more, but that was the 33% off was at 5 a.m. So I
missed
33% off. So I got
had
the
to
21%. So, but it was a good. I mean, that's a considerable chunk taken off.
That
so
is very nice.
we were happy with that.
Well,
So, yeah.
congratulations. I looked and looked around for other sale things, but just couldn't commit. But the computer, I really do need. So I'm excited. I think I got you didn't get any money off, but you got a $150 gift card. So
Nice.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That'll come in handy.
it will. Yeah, that's somebody's Christmas present. But
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, moving on from something pleasant of getting bargains to something tense that goes on in families sometimes. Our first topic for today is parental teasing. And that's something that in my house tends to be a dad thing. And I remember growing up, my dad would tease me, not mean, it's the kind of teasing that a good guy and a good father does because they think it's good to toughen you up. If you can't take it from me, how are you going to take it from the kids? So it's done with a good heart, but it does not feel any better. It still does not feel good. And I remember it really being a block in my relationship with my dad. I hated that he would tease me about things. And, he would tease my mom and she would explode, and then we would all tiptoe around the house for a while. But I just felt bad when he teased me. So I see that same pattern now between my very good father husband, who also seems to feel that teasing is a thing that you should be able to take, and that learning at home how to take it is the way to go. And I've said, she doesn't like it. It doesn't feel good. Cut it out. But just like my dad, he doesn't get it. So I wondered, is this something that goes on in your houses? Do you have dads teasing daughters or sons? Do you have other things that they do to provoke that you are powerless to make them cut the heck out? Or is this just, I have bad teasing karma and it's just going to keep coming back to me? Generational, along with all the other things, anxiety.
Yeah.
And being a teasing magnet. So how about you, Nicole? Is this sort of thing happen in your house? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. It's interesting because teasing is a dynamic in our house that is used in various ways, not just, in one form of communication. So, it's used to lighten the mood or to comment on something or to redirect it's interesting. And my kids and my husband, of course, is quite the tease disher outer.
Kind of a guy thing.
Yeah. And but he's used that in our relationship like from the beginning. So but he does it in a kind of a funny or gentle way where every once in a while I'll be like, you went too far. That's enough. But our kids, they don't tease other people that I know of in any kind of a malicious way, but they're they're used to hearing it.
Yeah.
So at least, and I don't think they're scarred deeply from any of this behavior. So,
How about you, Catherine? Do you see this sort of thing?
To some extent, yeah. Not as much with teasing, but with just sort of, I don't know what is the word for it, but just goading or like doing things that you know another person is going to not enjoy and appreciate, and doing them anyway, and then being surprised when the response is frustration and anger.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, that happens, and it's hard, and I definitely get that, like, don't tell me what to do,
Yeah.
from everyone. If I'm like, here's something that will provoke an argument, so how about not?
Right. Right.
And then I hear, don't tell me what to do. Don't criticize me. Whatever it is, from whomever. It could be anybody. So that's difficult because it's very hard, as I'm sure you know, Terri, to keep out of something like that. When you can, I mean, it's like you see it playing out. You're like, and then this is gonna happen, and then that's gonna happen, and then that's gonna happen, and I am powerless to stop it because no one will listen to me.
This is something I say many times a day out loud and to myself. If I can see something bad is going to happen, do you want me to just let it happen? All the time I feel this way with teasing, with pretty much everything. And really the answer is pretty much we would like you to shut up. So,
like, you just back up.
Just go in the dark room, put the rag over your eyes, worry about it quietly, and let us make our mistakes. But it's hard to see the aftermath. And I have to admit, when I'm saying this, that I think my husband's teasing is an issue in the family, but I tease too, and occasionally my kids call me on it. It's easy to get, I understand that it's easy to get carried away with it. My daughter laughs when I tease her, and so I enjoy watching her laugh. And so I keep doing it, and then later she's like, well, that was too much, but you wouldn't stop. It's like, but you were laughing.
Right.
That makes you happy.
yeah.
So I do see how it gets carried away, but I think sometimes from the start that it's going to be a bad idea, and yet you do it anyway. And I mean, I'm somebody who experienced a fair amount of teasing as a kid at school due to my height, and I've always felt that was a good thing, and that is what toughened me up, and that it doesn't bother me to get teased about that. Because, what are you going to do? I can't grow. So, it's not something that I feel is a personal failing. But other things, not so much. So it's like the concept of getting some teasing and learning to take it is not necessarily a bad one, but maybe you don't want it from your parent.
Well, and I don't know how, I mean, you said it worked for you, but I don't know how effective it is, especially if it's coming from a parent, right?
Yes, I think from a parent it's less effective, but I think it's done oftentimes with a good heart, and that's when it's really difficult. And as, like you said, as a parent, the other parent, how do you say, hey, I know you mean well, but you're hurting your kid. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's just going to get you defensiveness.
Then then the heat's on me. We don't want that either.
It would happen, and that's the way it would happen.
It's like,
I'm pretty sure.
Throwing yourself in front of the bus. Then everybody's mad.
Yeah, I mean, does it work? Does it ever work to talk to your daughter about it separately and say, like, this is Dad's just trying to help, or you know what I mean? Like, is that the kind of thing?
I have done that, and no, it really doesn't. Because it's like intellectually you know that, but emotionally it still makes you, in the moment, emotionally it's still difficult, and it still makes you mad, and it still provokes. And I hate being around when that happens. I know it's hard to be in it from my childhood experience. But it's, it's not an easy knob to turn off in the teaser's brain either.
No.
It's a reflex. And then sometimes by calling on it, you make a bigger deal out of it than it needed to be. And then there's extra tension and stress in the household.
And how much fun is that?
That's right. I think that's what we all need, is a little more stress in our household.
In these holiday season times, we need to ramp up the stress.
Yeah, there's just no good way about it. And
No.
just wish everybody could just get along. And I mean, we do mostly. It's just these little awkward times that if I had the magic wand,
Yeah.
I would. I don't know if I would make it stop or if I would just make the person being teased react in the spirit it was meant. I'm not sure which I would do with the magic wand.
That's a good question.
Right?
actually.
Yeah.
Which one
I
is
think
more valuable, you know?
It depends on the personalities of the two people that,
It
one who's
does.
receiving
Yeah.
and the other one who's giving. I mean, my husband gets away with more teasing with my son far more than with my daughter. But then again, my daughter is like a 16-year-old teenager. So
Yeah.
she doesn't take to much
No.
these days. So yeah, it really is dependent on your child's personality and
Right.
how they handle it too.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you help your kid handle that better? I don't know. As you say, I think it's just personality is just ingrained. And when you have somebody who likes to tease and somebody who doesn't like to be teased in the same household, they both feel victimized when you try to stop it. It's like, this is who I am. This is
Yeah.
the way I communicate.
Exactly.
Just having fun. The other person's
Right.
not having
Because
fun.
it's almost like you're asking both of them or one of them to change their fundamental personality,
Yeah.
right? In order to accommodate the other person.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah.
We all know people who have that jokey way about them, and sometimes it's fun, and sometimes you just want to put a pillow in their mouth. It's just like sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. Shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, even as an adult, I definitely get that from other adults, just friends or
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
that are jokey and teasing. And I feel like pressure to come up with a clever
Yeah.
response. And so
Yeah.
it's stressful.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
we see that in our social circle. We've got a couple of people who are very teasy, kind of jokey people, and then there's a few of them that are offended every time, something is said, and it's kind of, I mean, which one sort of, well, okay, maybe you didn't have to say that, and then the other person is like, well, maybe you should lighten up a bit.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but in your head, you're like, okay, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's hard to place your judgment on how other people are feeling about it.
And how awkward it is to be with other adults in that sort of situation where somebody is not stopping and somebody else is upset, and you're like, I really don't care one way or the other, but just somebody cut it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great-
Whichever one of you.
Yeah. Something that happens in families, especially at this holiday time. People you don't see that often, and they just fall back into those patterns. And it's why I've always enjoyed having kids who I needed to get out of the room with from time to time. Oh, he's done eating, and I gotta go amuse him. Bye.
Just take him over here.
We're just gonna go in the other room, or perhaps into the car and home.
Yeah.
Y'all enjoy yourselves.
Yes, much harder to escape when it's your husband and mother. So,
Yes. Oh,
right.
yes. That is difficult.
oh, whole other conversation right there.
Yeah. As with so many parenting things, there is no easy answer. So many interpersonal things.
Yeah.
There's no way to make it right, and no way to make it stop, particularly. And there's only the ability to be a pain in everybody's neck. So
Yeah.
and that is my specialty.
That's right. All of us.
Well, maybe this next question will be easier to answer.
Yes.
I think so.
Speaking of the winter chill that falls upon the family when this stuff is going on.
Speaking of winter chill, we're going to transition into our next topic of discussion here on our speed round today. We're looking at, now that winter is kind of gradually descending upon us, at least here in California, it hasn't been gradual. It's almost been overnight. The switch has been flipped. You start to get all that gear, the boots, the jackets, the gloves, the hats. And I know when I was growing up in northern parts of Canada, I mean, we had to have that stuff out 10 months of the year. My mother crazy. Because, you just want to rip it all off when you walk in the door because you're so hot. But where do you keep all this stuff? I mean, we had closets upon closets. because we had so much stuff when I was a kid, but now we don't need that much where we are. So how about where you both live? What do you do with all of your winter items?
I'm always jealous when I watch it like on HGTV and they have these houses with a mudroom where you just like dump all that stuff. I want one of those, even though we don't need it. We don't have serious weather here. We don't have the same degree of winter clothing that you probably have, Catherine. But even so, it would be nice because where it goes in my house is we have one of these kind of houses where you go through the front door and you go down half a staircase into it's not really even a basement, like a lower level, and then you go up the half a staircase and you're in the upper level, and around the staircase in the upper level is this railing, and that is where all the jackets go. They pile up on this railing. And eventually stuff starts falling down the stairs, because we piled it up too much. And, if guests are coming over, we hang it all up in the little closet we have, but it doesn't stay there, as long as it's just us. They're just piles and piles of all different, because like this time of year in New Jersey also, we're like every day is different. So one day it's sweatshirt weather, and one day it's parka weather, and one day it's you don't need anything. So it just piles up and up and up and up. And I would love to have a better solution for it, but we don't seem to be finding one. You don't have a mudroom either, Catherine?
No, and I want one so much. I was thinking the exact same thing as you would. How whenever I see them on a TV show, I'm like, oh, I love that. Because we have our back door, which is of course the one we use. You walk in and it's a tiny little landing, and it's a kind of like you said, it's a couple steps up to the main floor, and then a few steps down into the basement. And so on this small little landing, there's always shoes piled up there. And despite our attempt to have a shoe storage area at the bottom of the basement steps, which, is like 7 steps. No, that doesn't, nobody puts their stuff there ever. And, during the winters, we do have a guest room on the first floor, and that's close to the back door. And so the bed in the guest room is where everything gets thrown, which actually is okay, except for when we actually have guests.
Otherwise, it's at least out of sight. You have a door you can close, right?
Yes. And then we have in that hallway that's right by the bedroom, we have a huge built-in storage with cupboard and very big deep drawers, and so all of the hats and scarves and gloves are in one of those drawers, which is great, except for the fact that it's such a big drawer that everything becomes a complete
Everything's lost
in there.
Spend 10 minutes in the morning going through to find where is that one beanie I want, where is that scarf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a mudroom is for sure my dream, but we have no place for it.
Well,
it's not happening.
I'm here to tell you that although I don't have a mudroom now here in California, I have a duffel bag. It's in the closet. But I grew up with a mudroom, an amazing mudroom. But I'm here to tell you the unknown truths of the mudroom.
Tell us, so we'll feel better.
Well, my mother might have liked it because it kept things outside of the main part of the house. As the children who were in and out of the house putting things on and taking things off, it was awful because it was so cold. It was so
I can see that.
You put your feet into these cold boots, because usually the mudroom is not, well, at least ours wasn't. It wasn't heated. The ones that I know of haven't been heated. Maybe they are now.
I think they are heated now. That's the thing. They're like these beautiful little rooms with like these pretty lockers for everyone to put their stuff in, and baskets and chalkboards
and we believe everything on HGTV is real.
Yeah.
Well, the ones I've seen and known haven't been heated, and they've been terrible. Nothing ever dries, nothing warms up, everything is damp all the time.
I feel much better now.
Okay.
So don't get too excited about it. It has to be heated if it has to be worth its weight in gold.
Okay.
So now you are using a duffel bag as your winter clothing storage.
Can you believe it? I am.
Everybody's goes in there, or just you have
Yeah.
individual duffel bags?
Well, no, everybody's. We just because
Wow.
well, our jackets don't go in there because we don't need 10 different jackets. So I don't even think we all have a winter jacket that we put on if we go up to the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because the snow doesn't come down here, but those fit into our closet, and then so in the duffel bag it's just hats and gloves.
Wow.
And yeah, and then boots. We don't have winter boots anymore. We've all outgrown our boots, so there really isn't much of a need in this area.
I wish we could fit all our stuff in a duffel bag.
You know what we do need though is we need a whole organizational area for our summer gear.
Yeah.
Our winter gear.
Like a sand room instead of a mud room.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you need in the summertime here. Anyway, all relative.
I think I've seen those on HGTV also, though. They're where the
sand.
person stores their bikes and all their summer gear.
All their beach stuff.
HGTV
All the
has a
beach
room for everything.
Yeah, the beach stuff is what we need.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, I think that wraps up our speed round for this part of our discussion today. And remember, you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday.
And now we will bring you some of the things that we have read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you in our Parenting Roundabout Roundup. Since I was just talking about buying things on sale over sale weekends, my shout out this week is going to be to a website called calendars.com, which is where I like giving calendars out for Christmas gifts. And my daughter especially will go to this website and find the ones she wants and send me the link to them. But the reason I really like this website is because it is a procrastinator's dream. Every day they send you emails all day. Oh my gosh, we have this fantastic sale. It's 70% off. You got to buy today, though. You got to buy today. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And then the next morning you'll get another email that says, we held it over a day. Come on, you got another day. Come on, buy, buy, buy. And this continues on and on and on. So it's like you never have to feel like you missed the sale. Because if you wait, 24 hours, you'll get another email from them saying, oh my gosh, it's another sale. So
Yeah.
I support that. Mercy for procrastinators. You never miss it. Another one is always coming. So my salute to calendars.com. I will get to you to buy some Christmas presents eventually. Catherine, what are you shouting out this week?
Well, there's a site called Common Sense Media that has like a lot of TV and movie and app reviews for kids and or for parents, to know about kids stuff. And a lot of times I think they're sort of over the top earnest and, concerned about things that really are fine. But they had a blog post recently on teaching kids how to spot fake news and how to, in general, be media savvy. And I just thought it was well done. And it's something that I definitely run into with my middle schooler, who, well, I heard blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, let's, roll that back. And where exactly did you hear this? And let's discuss how it's probably not true. So I feel like it's important for a lot of kids to know this stuff, and a lot of them don't. So,
And a lot of adults.
yes, and a lot of adults, absolutely.
You just have a link to that you put in the comments every time somebody posts something that is clearly bogus from madeupnews.org.
Yeah. So check that out at Common Sense Media.
And what are you sharing, Nicole?
Well, speaking of gifts, and at that time of year, I came across this website that has some pretty cool gifts that I found for the people that are particularly hard to buy for in my life. And the site is called the Grommet, GROMMET.com. And it's pretty cool. It's got some cool tech gifts if you've got a techie in your life. A lot of them are created by startup groups. So, they're pretty interesting and relevant. And yeah.
I have shopped there. I bought some stuff last year, I think I bought from there. And I was very happy with everything I got, except for the fact that there was an extremely long wait for it There was a
Yes.
glitch with one of the manufacturers, I guess got behind or wasn't
Yes.
delivering, but they gave me, I think they gave me one of the items for free, or they took some money off that kind of represented that. So they made good on it. And
Well, mine's on back order,
Yeah.
so thanks for the heads up.
yeah, if it gets too out of hand, let them know that you've been waiting. And I feel bad because I said, oh, that's great, I will keep shopping from you, and then I haven't ever had any call to go back and shop
Yeah.
with them. So, but I will recommend them. It is neat stuff.
Yeah.
And a
Great
good
site.
good organization. If you remember that you are dealing with small, tiny little companies that maybe don't always get stuff together as quickly as they should.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that is it for our
Okay.
roundup, and now we have our interview segment. Catherine?
Yeah. So again, speaking of holiday shopping, we are going to talk to Meghan Corridan, who's a pediatric occupational therapist, and she's a regular guest on our podcast. And she every year puts together a huge gift guide with OT approved toys and
Yay.
games for
Mhm.
families to refer to. So we are going to actually do a 2-part interview with Meghan, where we hear, because her gift guide is so big, we wanted to give her 2 chances to tell us about it. So you're going to hear the first part of that interview now. Hi, Meghan.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Good. So Megan's here today to talk with us about new toys for the winter holidays. Every year she comes up with this really comprehensive and helpful gift guide for parents for all kinds of toys and games and activities, especially ones that have some therapeutic benefits, but also that are just really appealing to kids. So we are going to hear from Meghan today about some of the newer toys that she's found to include in her gift guide, which is on her blog at Mac and Toys. And then next week, Megan's going to come back and talk to us about some other toys on her list that focus on helping kids build social and emotional skills. But for today, we're going to focus on the new stuff. So tell us about some of the great goodies that you've found.
Okay. So this is absolutely one of my favorite things to do every year. I find parents really struggle on what to get their kids or what to tell people to get their kids. So for me, it's such a treat to be able to sort of scour, toy stores and websites and find great things that will not, like you said, not only be good for, a gift, but also sort of help with the development of important skills. As an OT, I really look to make sure there's a fine motor aspect or a gross motor aspect, and that it can be adapted depending on the children's ages and sort of what their skill set is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go through sort of all different kinds of things. The first new thing I found was actually recommended to me by the owner of a toy store that I went into one day. He knew I was an OT, and he took me on a tour of the store, and he showed me this game, Happy Salmon.
Okay.
And it is basically just a card game. It's super fast paced, and it works on visual skills and gross motor skills. So kids just flip cards, and when kids get matching cards, they have to act out the action. So it could be giving a high five. It could be, it's all different kinds of gross motor things, but they have to do it at the same time. So it's great for working on building teamwork. It's great for building visual motor skills. I love the gross motor aspect of it. And because I think it's fast paced and the kids are sort of have to work together, there's no stress about who's going to win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about just being able to work as a team to accomplish the goal.
Nice.
And I think that is something that, I think it's intended for a little bit of an older child, but I think that in the end, if you slow it down and maybe keep it to 2 or 3 kids, you can use it with younger kids as well. Another one of the things I found it's called the Many Moods of Me journal. It's by Klutz, who I love all of their stuff. It's meant for older kids who are a little bit more aware of their feelings, but don't necessarily know how to talk about them. It's not organized by date, but instead by feelings. So if, at the end of the day, if you had a sad day, you would go to the sad page and you would write about like what made you sad. It also gives you opportunities to color and doodle and draw. And I think it's just a nice way for those kids who don't necessarily feel comfortable discussing their feelings. It's a great outlet for them. I also like it. It's color coordinated. So happy is orange, sad is blue. It gives kids a real understand. I think it just gives them this visual of like how you're feeling.
Okay.
And it's something where they can be as honest as they want, but it's totally private. And then maybe once they write it down, they'd be more likely to be able to share their feelings with somebody else.
Right. Plus it has them working on writing and expressing themselves.
Exactly.
Great.
So my favorite section is always my arts and crafts section, just because that's usually the part that has the most to do with occupational therapy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my items have been consistently the same, because once you find something good, you don't really want to not recommend it.
Right.
But again, I was in a toy store and I was picking up some of these. There's a company called Orb Factory, and they make these sticky mosaics, which I've been using for years and years. And the toy store had these things called pom-pom pictures right next to them. And it was essentially the same exact thing where you match colors and you take mini pom-poms and you put them on a sticky background. And you make a unicorn and a rainbow. And there's this really, really nice sensory aspect to it, but it's also great for working on visual motor and visual perceptual skills. For younger kids, it's great to talk about learning colors and just improving matching skills. But the pom-poms are easy for the kids to put on, for working on that fine motor and manipulation skills.
Right.
And it's, at the end, they get this really, really cool picture that they get to share and show everyone. And they're super proud of themselves. And it's not a huge thing, so they can stick it up on their wall or do whatever they want with it. But the kids have just been loving them.
Years ago, I remember we had a mosaic type thing where you had like these sticky foam cubes that you would stick on, and yes, my kids really liked it. But this sounds better because I think they would appreciate the tactile sensation of the pom-poms.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Another thing I found that I just thought was cute, it's called the I Like Activity Book, and I've seen it in like the Paper Source, and I've seen it in some independent bookstores, and it's just 48 pages of activities that encourage kids to answer questions about themselves. So it not only gets like them to be a little bit more self-aware of who they are, but it also lets them draw and color and be really creative and use their imagination, which I always feel like once, kids start gaining more confidence and that helps develop confidence and self-esteem. Mm-hmm. So, and it can be, I think it can really be something that kids can do as they're older. They can do it independently. But it could also be a really, really nice thing to do with like an older sibling or a mom or a dad, and just be able to talk about themselves and recognize things about themselves. So it's great for those things, but at the same time, like working on handwriting and coloring and drawing. Right.
And we should remind people that last time we talked to you, we talked about 2-person coloring and activity books. So you can also look back at that and find some really great ideas for little extra holiday gift or to use like when you're traveling at the holidays, I think would be great.
Those are all really great.
So what else new discoveries have you had that you've enjoyed?
So construction sets, STEM sets, like all those building toys are always a huge hit with kids. I always tell parents that a good construction set or a good building set is worth spending a little bit more money on. They last longer.
Yeah.
And this year I discovered something called Tuba Links, which is construction kit that comes with connectors and joiners and couplers. And then you use paper towel and toilet paper tubes to build things.
Oh, okay.
I love the fact that it encourages a little bit of recycling, and it definitely encourages creativity and all of those great things, imagination skills that sometimes it's hard for kids. You can take the tubes and you can color them. You can put washi tape on them. You can put stickers on them, and then you can build whatever you want. Obviously, because it's using toilet paper and paper towel rolls, it's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also great for working on motor planning and organizational skills and improving gross motor skills at the same time. It's also really good to work on with a friend or a sibling. So it encourages some collaboration. It encourages, being cooperative, which can be really hard for some kids.
Yes. I love that we can recommend this gift guide to grandparents because I think it is stressful for parents when everyone's saying, what do you want? What do the kids want? What do they? And I think it's hard to come up with lots and lots of ideas for family members. So we can definitely pass this along to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Any more new things that you wanted to specifically call attention to?
I'll quickly talk about two things.
Okay.
One of them is fold-away trampoline that I found. It's by a company called Get-Go.
Mm-hmm.
And living in New York City, and basically, I think any parent doesn't want to have these giant objects to take up tons of space in their living space. But especially in New York City, where space is just such a limited thing, I often recommend trampolines to families because it's great for working on gross motor skills, endurance, body awareness, all those things. But the first complaint always is we don't have any place to put it. So I found this trampoline that it is a child-friendly trampoline. It folds out. It's got a handle. And when you're done, you put the handle down, you fold it back away. You can put it under a bed. You can put it in the back of a closet. It takes up so little space that I think it makes it less stressful for a parent to consider getting it.
Right.
And then the last thing is a sensory product, which I recently discovered. It's called Floof. I'm a big fan of any sensory material, and Floof is really fun. It basically feels like snow, but without being cold. It's super light. It's easy to sort of build into whatever you want. You can get a snowman kit. It comes with these 3 balls that you fill up and put together, and then you build a snowman. Or they have a s'mores kit, which you make your marshmallows, you put the sticks in. So I think it's not only great for working on, improving tactile defensiveness and bilateral coordination, but allows for a lot of creativity, imagination, and play skills. And the best part is it's super easy to clean up. It doesn't make a mess, and the kids have a lot of fun using it.
And it's just fun to say floof.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for all these really fun ideas. I will remind our listeners that they can check out macandtoys.blogspot.com to see all of your recommendations. And also join us next week where we're going to talk to Meghan again, and we'll hear specifically about some of her suggestions for toys and activities that help build social and emotional skills. So until then, thank you, Meghan.
Thank you.
So thanks, Meghan, for all those great ideas, and come back next week, listeners, because you will hear more from Meghan's gift guide.
Excellent.
Good. Thank you. And now for our final segment today, we're going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terri, what have you got this week?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work on the Friendship Circle blog, and one thing I wrote there that a lot of people seem to have enjoyed was 20 things that parents of kids with special needs can be thankful for. Little humor piece, cool. And I know we're past Thanksgiving, but it's still a season for counting your blessings. So if you're finding that to be a little difficult at this particular time and this particular year, I'll have a link to that and you can check it out. We've also put up a couple of gift guide things ourselves. One of them is just a collection of gift guides for kids with special needs from around the web that includes a link to Meghan's, and also a little assemblage of special needs tools and toys that you can find on Amazon. So I will have links to all of those. Please check them out.
Will do. Thank you. And Catherine, how about you?
Well, I decided to go with a gift guide too.
It's that time of year.
That's right. On my VeryWell site, I have several lists of toy and gift suggestions for kids. I have snow toys, I have wheeled and ride-on toys for different age groups, and then active toys that a whole family can share, lots of different things. So be sure to check that out on VeryWell.
Great.
Excellent.
And Nicole?
And I'm going to recommend something that I didn't write on my blog, but I wrote for Terry's.
That's right. I think we discussed it was coming in the
Yeah.
past episode, and it is now up.
I finally got back to doing some writing, and it wasn't for my own blog. It was for the French Circle. But it was an article on the differences between inclusive classrooms and special education self-contained classrooms. So it's over there at the Friendship Circle on their blog, and hope you enjoy it.
Yes. And that will be it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you will join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Momitude, Nicole is at Nicole Eridix, and Catherine is at About Family Fit. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat, and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. We're all over the place. Best of all, stop by our blog at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and I wish everybody a great week.